come up with a crazy idea, and then go after it with everything you've got.
Okay, let's talk about the best in desert. I'm gonna break this up into two different videos just because I have a tendency to ramble quite a bit if you guys haven't noticed already. So the first video is going to be talking about the race, the bike, and I think the next video is just going to be kind of talking about who helped me out and thanking them, just like sponsors or anybody that just helped out. So if I can, I'll put a link to that video as well. So yes, the best in desert. What a crazy, wild, insane, terribly scary ride that was. It was amazing and fun, and there's no way I could ever really do it justice talking about it. It happened so fast, and I knew it would go by in the blink of an eye. I prepared for it for about 3 months, and it was incredible, to say the least. So the bike, I would say, 071 over here, performed way better than I ever expected. We can't be happier with the outcome. We didn't complete the race. Got halfway through the second day and got pulled off course. Not because the bike wasn't working, but it was lagging behind. I mean, it's pretty tired. It was pretty tuckered out. I ran it as hard as I feel like I could ride the bike and still keep it in the race. I was pushing it as hard as I could without breaking it. Excuse me. Hopefully that's another sponsor. I'm just joking, I don't have any sponsors yet. But so the race, yeah, the first day we got there, we kind of hung out in Vegas. It was a lot of fun going through the tech inspection and stuff like that. It was really neat being around all this madness, just race cars and trucks, and the people were just alive, insane, just so pumped, ready to race. And it was neat just hanging out, talking with everybody. A lot of weird reactions with the bike. Nobody really understood what it was or why I was racing such a big bike with such small amount of horsepower. And well, I shouldn't say that. People understood why I was doing it. I mean, it's for the challenge and stuff. But they were confused and a little taken aback that I was going to try that. I think there was only one other big bike. It was me and a guy riding a stripped down Triumph. So he had 3 cylinders, 100 horsepower, I think like 10 inches of suspension travel, and it weighed exactly the same as my bike. So it was me, that guy, and a bunch of other race bikes. We got out into the desert super late at night. I think it was around midnight, 1 in the morning. We kind of pulled the bike out of the truck, threw out our sleeping bags, and just crashed out, getting ready to take off early in the morning. Got a rough night's sleep, not a big deal, and started on the starting line. Got set up with me and a bunch of other guys and girls from all over the place. It was pretty neat. I was pretty calm at that point. I really wasn't worried about much. I knew I was just gonna go out and kind of just give it my best shot. So I really wasn't like worried about anything at all. I mean, I didn't want to get injured. I didn't want to blow up the bike or anything right off the bat. But so I stayed pretty calm, and we got off from the starting line. They sent us off, individually. But as I kind of expected, all the race four-wheelers and bikes caught up to me pretty damn quick because I could only move so fast with the bike. The course was pretty gnarly right off the bat. It was very dangerous, really bumpy. I'd feel a little concerned had I been racing a race bike on the course there. And to top it off, it was just non-stop silt and dust in your face. You couldn't see 5 feet at a time for probably about an hour and a half. It was really brutal. It was really hard to breathe, incredibly hard to see, and a tad bit scary. I made it through that. flawlessly, I would say. I learned a lot about keeping the bike up right away on loose gravel and dirt and silt. So I didn't put the bike down right away, which was kind of nice. It kept me going. Made it to a couple of pits, and it was exhausting. It's hard to keep that big of a bike up over that long period of time. You know, it's hard to negotiate with the momentum of a 400-pound motorcycle time after time. So midday is kind of where I started getting a little drained. I was still, you know, in good spirits and stuff like that, but it was wearing out. You know, it was in the heat, and the bike, it's just hard to muscle it around after hours and hours of nonstop abuse. The trophy trucks eventually caught up to me, which that part was really scary, and I would say was the most dangerous because we were going up mountain switchbacks at that point. It was like a dried up riverbed that I was trying to drive up with, I'd say 2-foot deep sand, which is insane. Trying to drive that bike through sand is just unbelievably difficult. And I'm doing it with these 800 horsepower trucks flying behind me, and I mean, it just sends shivers up my spine just thinking about it. So I got these trucks chasing me up mountain switchbacks and all these blind corners, and these guys, you know, they're trained and they have the experience to chase dust just non-stop, relentlessly. So they don't know if a motorcycle crashed in front of them or not. It was a little scary. I did wipe out a couple of times in front of these trucks, and all I could do was just kind of dump the bike over, drag it off course, and wait for a couple of them to pass by.
Okay, I am taking a break right now. The RX3 is having a real hard time climbing these hills in the sand. I'm just getting nowhere fast, and then I also got these guys chasing my ass. It's getting pretty hairy out here. It's fun, but it's really, really dangerous.
That section of the course took the longest. It was just awful. I think I quit 100 times in the course of a couple of hours. Finally, I made it up over the mountains. I'm running through the desert.
Okay, I'm only making it maybe a half mile at a time if I'm lucky, back up in the mountains over there. I was only making it probably a couple 100 feet at a time. I was stopping like every 15 seconds. These guys are coming one after another. Just relentless. It is so incredible though. You can barely see out here, and it is amazing. I'm having a blast. I'm gonna keep going for now, but as you can see, this is insane.
So all sorts of guys on four-wheelers and bikes breaking down. Some guys had like 3 and 4 flats the first day, which blew me away because I didn't get one flat. I don't know if it's just because of the pace I was running at, or just I had more pressure in my tires than most guys. I think I was running at around 20 pounds, and some of those guys were probably around 14 to 10. But yeah, there's so much to talk about. I could go on for days about this, so I'll try to keep it short. I got slammed in the ground a few times. I mean, like midday I started crashing quite a bit. And it really didn't take much out of me because I expected to crash. I knew I was going to. I was really impressed with how the bike held up through the crashes. A lot of them were in sand, but some of them were in rocks and stuff like that. I smashed my hand up pretty good. One time I got caught up in a bunch of barbed wire. I didn't see it at first, but it slammed me in the ground pretty quick, and then I realized when I couldn't get my bike moving anymore that the front wheel was locked up because of all the barbed wire that was wrapped around in it. I took that off, and I actually coiled it around the back fender of my bike because I felt like at that moment when I crashed and I found all that barbed wire that I knew deep down that I probably wasn't going to complete the race. I'd come to terms with that long before I even started the race, but at that point I kind of knew that the likelihood of me finishing the race with the RX3 was really not going to happen. So I took that barbed wire off. I wrapped it around the bike because I felt like that was going to be my trophy, and I still have it here today. I'm going to hang on to that trophy of mine because that is my trophy, and I'm going to keep that on my garage wall as a memory of how I won the Best in Desert with the RX3. Well, my version of winning. So, like I said, I slammed into the ground a couple of times. You'd be going for miles and miles as fast as you can. There were a few great high-speed burns, tons of just non-stop fishtailing, because I mean, even though it's flat and smooth, it's still loose gravel. I mean, you're going as fast as you can in some of these areas, and then all of a sudden, bam, course just changed. There's like beelines down this little dried up riverbed, or a walking pathway or something like that. So I'd be feeling confident, and all of a sudden I would just ditch the bike right into the ground again or something like that. Or you'd have these buggies and trophy trucks flying up on you, so sometimes you can't get off the course because it's higher on the side. So what you do is just try to steer off to the side and gingerly crash the bike into the ground as these champion trucks go flying by you. Man, I wish I had some of their horsepower. Time after time I kind of kept picking myself back up. I was beat. It was alright though. I was having fun. I was scared, but I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep going for myself. You know, I felt physically I can keep going. As long as I could stand up, I'm going to keep going. I wanted to do it for the other RX3 owners and stuff like that. Just because I wanted to push the bike to the point where it will not make it anymore. And I'm trying to think of some of the other things that went on during the day. I lost the radiator cap, completely drained the radiator, so I ended up having to take my camel pack off and refill the radiator. Luckily, on an uphill climb, I noticed the bike was overheating. I stopped, let it cool off for about 10 minutes. Yeah, and I completed the first day. We took the bike, threw it in the truck, and I think we slept at a Texaco gas station or something. I didn't even shower. We didn't have a room to stay in or anything like that. My buddy slept outside. My dad slept outside. I curled up on a hardwood truck bed floor, and that was the nicest night of sleep that I think I'd gotten in a long time. So next day, popped out, got out on the course. I was feeling good. The bike was limping pretty hard at that point, but still running really well, well enough to keep going. So we did. Oh, I completely forgot. So let me backtrack a little bit. Yeah, one of the most important parts, I stalled the bike on an uphill climb.